Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Lockheed, and I'm the training evangelist here at QuoteWerks. And I'm pleased to be joined by Adam Crandall, CEO and co-founder, and Avery Davidow, co-founder, both with Benji Pays. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josh.
Thanks
Awesome.
for having us.
Well, we are here today to talk about from quote to cash, the easy way to get paid. And what we're going to be focusing on today is the quote to cash cycle and ultimately how you can alleviate some of the challenges associated with the quote to cash cycle, utilizing both the QuoteWorks platform and the integration with Benji Pays. To frame the conversation, we're going to start with some of the challenges that businesses face when it comes to creating quotes and proposals and collecting payment. Ultimately, those challenges stem from the inability to collect payment, to close out that quote to cash cycle, log lead times associated with payments, and the inability to track customer activity. Another challenge that people have is lack of payment flexibility and also no visibility into deposits and remaining balances, all of which can contribute to inefficiencies and the inability to ultimately bring that quote from that quote into realized revenue. In addition to some of the challenges that are faced in general by companies, there are specific challenges that are associated with manual quote creation. It's a time-intensive process. It can be complex. There's a large margin for error. There's no interactivity when it comes to a PDF or an Excel document. And with that, there's no option for your customers to pay, which ultimately leads to longer lead times and oftentimes questions about how to ultimately bring the deal from a quote to payment. Now, with that being said, I'm going to pass it to Adam to talk about some of those pain points that are associated with manual payment specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So as most business owners know, um, it's a pain to get paid. Like there's a lot of manual steps. Your payment rails, your accounting system, your PSAs for MSPs, they're not talking to each other, and those all those manual steps are taking valuable hours from your team, where they could be doing other higher value things. And so things like even just like human emotion of like asking someone if they're gonna pay you when they're overdue. We sometimes give we let things go more than a computer would, right? So these things are prone to procrastination, data entry errors. Somebody processes a payment manually for $199, but then the payment was actually supposed to be for $299, but they record the full payment in the accounting system. That will go unnoticed for quite a while in most businesses. Um, and also, like it's often the owners, the managers, who are doing this work, and it can get pretty onerous, especially if it ends up being done like on the end of a day on a Friday or over the weekend instead of spending time with your family, or selling more business or working on your business. So anything that's computers are good at, and payments is one of them. We want to automate and kind of get that happy path going. Like that green light path should be zero work for you and your team. Um, the big thing that comes out of this is your day sales outstanding. So like this is the measure of how long it takes to turn an invoice into cash in your bank account. And so you might have heard of this. DSO is an important metric in any business, and we want to drive that down as low as possible. And so by automating, we see MSPs get their DSO as low as a couple of days in some cases, but good benchmarks are within a week, especially if you have a lot of recurring revenue. Um, and so if you're sitting in like a 30, 60-day DSO, that's a problem. That's cash that you can't use to grow your business, invest in your people, invest in expansion, all of that kind of stuff. And you're operating as a bank at that point. And one that doesn't charge interest. So it's not a great business model. So anything you can do to automate that and really get cash flow uh, uh, flowing without any human interaction is a good thing.
Yeah, so when it comes to those challenges, the solutions that we're proposing today are ultimately an easy to use quoting tool and a flexible payment gateway, right? Both of those are going to ultimately enable you to have an easy to use payment process, track customer activity on quotes, collect partial payments, and even provide multiple payment options if necessary. So we're going to actually talk about how these solutions are put in place again by the integration between QuoteWorks and Benji Pays. So to begin that conversation, what is QuoteWorks? We were founded back in 1993. We have over 35,000 active users in 101 countries. And our solution was originally introduced as a desktop-based quoting proposal tool, but we now have both a desktop platform as well as a cloud-based platform where you can do all the same things using to create, deliver, and manage quotes and proposals. And one of the big things that we pride ourselves about here at QuoteWerks is the numerous integrations we have, whether it's CRM or PSA systems, payment gateways, distributors, accounting systems. All of those different integrations allow us to seamlessly integrate with those providers and provide an end-to-end solution for customers and MSPs. That being said, we also have an integration with Eatalize in the product content subscription, which pulls product content information and pricing in real time into QuoteWorks so that you can easily quote utilizing the distributors that you do on a normal basis. And then one of the last things that I wanted to touch on here, and we're actually going to dive into in a bit, is Quote Valet. Quote Valet is QuoteWorks' online delivery and acceptance vehicle. And this is a platform that allows you to send a link to your customers rather than a flat PDF and actually track what activity they're doing, give them the ability to optionally select items and potentially quantity adjust items as well, and also give your customers the ability to pay. So Quote Valet is a great solution for those of you that are looking to ultimately gain more control over your quote to cash cycle and be able to bring those deals over the finish line in a quicker process. So when it comes to Quote Valet, there's a couple things that need to be in place and a couple things that are going to help you to be successful when utilizing Quote Valet. One is you need to have a balance plan. Likewise, you have the ability to brand and customize all of the different templates that are used in Quote Valet, being able to reflect your own brand standards, your color schemes, your iconography and logos. And this is all based on templates, defaults that you're setting in the system, and there's also a number of different layers of security that are put in place to ensure that the quotes are delivered on time and when the customer should have them. When we talk about Quote Valet, again, this really does span the full quote to cash cycle, right? From quote creation to quote delivery to the customer interacting with the quote, accepting the quote, giving that customer the ability to pay, and then giving you the ability to fulfill that order, either utilizing QuoteWorks system or utilizing potentially a PSA or other system that you use in your workflow. With all that being said, we're going to now go into a quick walkthrough of showing you how QuoteWorks can create quotes and deliver them to customers using the Quote Valet platform. So here we are in QuoteWorks Web, and QuoteWorks Web again is QuoteWorks online platform for creating quotes and proposals. And the first step whenever you're creating a quote is to first pull in your sold to ship to contact. I'm going to do that here by clicking on the sold to ship to tab and then clicking on the magnifying glass. I'm going to search for my contact, and you might notice the P over here on the left. That means that I'm currently connected to Pipedrive as my CRM. But again, we have interactions with over 14 different CRMs and PSAs, so you could be pulling this information from any one of those. I'm going to go ahead and pull this contact in. And we can add this individual to our sold to, ship to, bill to, or all three fields at the same time. So now that we have our contact on the quote, the next step would be to populate it with some items that we ultimately want to sell to that contact. So we're going to go to the document items tab, and this is where you ultimately add your different products and services. Now there are different ways you can do that. Typically, you'd probably go up to this products icon and search either a connected database or a native QuoteWorks database. So for example, we've got Pipedrive here. We could just as easily search our Pipedrive product list here, or we've got our internal QuoteWorks hosted native product databases as well, where you can store products within QuoteWorks natively. Now, just for today's purpose, I'm actually going to use what we call a bundle, which is a pre-configured list of products that can be added to a quote in a single click. So I'm actually going to select this HP printer bundle and hit insert, and it's going to get inserted into my quote. Now, what it's actually doing right now is it's going off to Eatalize and to our real-time module and checking the pricing for all these different parts from our different distributors before it gets added to the quote. And you can see we've got our printer, we've got our accessories, our warranty, and even a power strip here for that particular printer, all added to the quote in a single click. Once you've got your quote built with your sold to ship to contact and your documents items included on the document items window, the next step would be to save the quote. So we're going to go up to the save button here. And this is where we're able to actually integrate a little bit more with Pipedrive, or again, another CRM or PSA that we integrate with, in that we create deals and opportunities in those systems depending on which system it is. In this case, in Pipedrive, we create deals. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And that deal is going to be created in Pipedrive. But before it is, we have the ability to either create a brand new one or connect to an existing deal. We can then go in and adjust some of our different information that's pulling from Pipedrive, potentially change probability to say 50%, and click OK. And now this is actually, as I mentioned, creating that deal in Pipedrive. If we click over the links tab, we can actually go into Pipedrive and view that deal in Pipedrive itself. And one of the great things about this is it's got all the product information and all of the different customer information here as well. So for example, you can see we've got our product here, which is the bundle that we just created. You even got a link to the DTF, which is the quote in the native QuoteWerks file format. So now that we have the document saved, we would then go to deliver it to the customer. And that's done by clicking on the deliver icon. Here we can choose the output of what our quote's going to look like, add cover pages, and so on and so forth. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just preview the document. And this is what you might consider like a traditional quote delivery method, creating a PDF, emailing it to your customer, and then having them sign off on it. So this is just one of the options that you have. But when it comes to really accelerating your quote to cash cycle, we're talking about utilizing Quote Valet. And Quote Valet can also be emailed directly from QuoteWerks, but there's a different method of going about creating that quote. And the way that you do that is instead of hitting print, preview, or email respectively, you're going to hit quote, upload to Quote Valet here. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a web-based representation of the quote that we just viewed so that the customer can open it, review it, and sign it, and ultimately pay. You can see that we have a link to our PDF file. We have the ability to set signing options. So if we had a single signer, multi-signer, or potentially a counter signer at your organization, we can set that up all here. And then we have reminder options. So remind your customer if they haven't viewed the quote in a certain number of days. You can remind the customer if they haven't have the document to expire in a certain number of days, or if the document is accepted or not paid within a certain number of days. And you can send that to the recipient, i.e. the customer, or the sales rep, or both, if you'd like to do so. Now, once we're done with setting those up, we're going to hit upload, and this is going to actually create that Quote Valet document for us. And in the normal workflow of things, what you would do is you'd hit send email and send that link to your customer. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and preview the page on Quote Valet. And this is ultimately what the customer would see when they clicked on the link that is emailed to them. Note that we have our logo here, we've got our iconography, our color schemes, but all of that can be customized for your particular company. And we even have a CNAME up here, which you can see says Aspire Technologies, that can be customized to whatever you want it to be for yourself as well. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll see that all of the items on our quote are included here. And since they're part of a bundle, we have a summary line and then the products below them. And we even have the subtotal, shipping, sales tax, and total here. And one of the things I want to note is that I did set up a deposit required on the document. So you can see that we are, at the time of quote acceptance, going to be looking to collect half of the final payment amount from the customer. If we scroll down a little bit further, you can see that we have our payment options, in which case it's been configured to be Benji Pays. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then the customer has the ability to accept the quote down here. Now, this is legally binding. It is compliant with the Electronic Signature Act. So your customer would go ahead and agree to the terms of service and then print their name and their signature and then click to accept. It's easy as that. Once you click to accept, the customer will be redirected to the thank you for accepting the quote page, at which point they have the ability to pay now. And this is where the integration with Benji Pays really kicks off, where when they click pay now, there's this make payment option, which is ultimately what is going to connect us to our Benji Pays portal. So I'm going to click on make payment, and this brings us over to the Benji Pays portal. Here you can see that it's automatically brought over the customer name, as well as our quote number for the invoice or reference number and the payment amount. And then the customer would just have to go and fill out the rest of this information. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. They put in their credit card information, their billing address, This is where we're located down here in Orlando, Florida, if you ever want to come and visit, sunny Orlando. And once you've filled out all this information, it's as simple as the customer clicking on submit, and that payment is submitted. Now, after that payment is done, you're actually going to receive an email, and that email is going to, or I should say, the customer is going to receive an email confirming that that payment was submitted. And it looks a little something, something like, bear with me, something like this.
Why am I yanking?
All right. So that's an example of how to create a quote, to send it via QuoteWerks and give the customer the ability to accept it via QuoteWerks as well. So are there any questions from the group? I'm just going to double check to see if I have seen any questions come in. It doesn't look like we have any questions yet, so we'll go ahead and pop back over to the slideshow, where we're going to have Avery talk a little bit about the Benji Pays side of things. Up to you, Avery.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Josh. That's an awesome demo. So I just saw there was one question that popped up. Is it possible to have clients save banking info imported from Benji? So it's possible for the client to save their payment info at this time when they're making a payment for later use. A feature that we're planning to add in the future will be to allow the client to use already saved payment methods. So that should come in the future for sure. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and jump in right from where Josh left off and show how we'll handle that payment from there. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so is my Benji Pays screen coming through there? Perfect. Okay, so first of all, I'm actually going to go to my email because I'm the MSP that just got paid for that quote. So I have an email here telling me, Benji Pays is telling me that I've received a payment and telling me what I can do with that payment now. So this is the $789.40 payment that Josh just made. Now, if I go into Benji Pays and go to my payments to apply, here's that payment sitting right here. So now that that payment is made, I can just right here easily apply it to an invoice. So if I have an invoice already created, I can apply it there, or create a new invoice and apply it. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it to this invoice, $789.40. Apply payment. So in real time now, Benji Pays has just applied that payment against the invoice. So if I hop into QuickBooks, I can see it was this invoice right here, and the balance of the invoice is being reduced in real time from applying that payment. So that's just how our a little bit of our integration with QuoteWerks works. One more piece I did want to showcase on that is right within Benji Pays, we have pre-populated in everyone's Benji Pays accounts their custom payment links to set up with some of the various systems we integrate with, like Halo, ConnectWise, Autotask, Synchro, and of course QuoteWerks. So we make the integration really easy. There's full instructions, and then to actually set it up, I have a lot of things listed here because in my demo environment, I've got all sorts of payment gateways. It'll be a simpler list here in most of your Benji Pays accounts. You'll be able to just come here and grab the link and drop this into your QuoteWerks setup, and it's pretty straightforward. So that's how we set that up. So now I'm just going to walk through a few of the other features in Benji Pays, kind of on the same theme as Josh and Adam have been talking about. Everything that you see in Benji Pays and that I'm going to share is designed to help you get paid faster and more easily with less effort on your side and less human errors. Like, for example, if you would have accepted a payment for that quote and then you didn't have a connection to your accounting system, like from Benji Pays or something like that, there'd be a lot of manual steps involved with taking that payment and applying it towards an invoice. There's room for typographical errors and all sorts of things when there's a human involved. So one of the things Adam was talking about earlier was days sales outstanding. Right on your Benji Pays dashboard, you're going to be able to keep a track on how you're doing in that department. here in my demo environment, I could be doing a little bit better. I've probably got a few invoices I got to collect on right now, but 15 days is not too bad. You'll also see in your dashboard your top overdue invoices, oldest overdue, and then a selection of other relevant items. By default, you'll see the current month, but if you wanted to look at this year or a different period, you could just easily switch that. And another nice thing as we scroll down our dashboard is down here at the bottom, we have monthly transaction totals and monthly transaction count for the previous 12 months. It's a really nice thing. Most of the businesses that we work with, luckily have this moving up and to the left, or up and to the right, sorry, throughout the year. So more transaction or more money flowing, which is good. So a few of the really important features in BenjiPays. The first one I want to talk about is auto processing. So we talked about how to accept money for a quote. That's kind of like a quote is generally for a one-off item or something, but it could be for your services as recurring services. And when you have recurring services, or even if they're not recurring, if they're the same customer ordering on a regular basis, BenjiPays can completely automate the receivables, the payments from your customers. So the way auto processing works is every day BenjiPays will look through all of your unpaid invoices, and for each invoice, it'll say, is this invoice due yet? Is auto processing turned on for this customer? And do they have a payment method on file that's enabled for auto processing? And if all those are true, then on the due date of the invoice, BenjiPays will automatically charge the card or bank account on file, send the receipt to the customer, and record the payment to the accounting system. So like for MSPs who are doing, most of your invoices are probably charged or due on the first of the month, BenjiPays can just automate it. So the money's in your bank account. If you're processing those on the first, you can have that money on the second. It's very, very quick and doesn't require any manual intervention. So that's auto processing. Another one of our really well-loved features is called Invoice Rover. So Invoice Rover is our automated emailing system built in BenjiPays. And we built this actually with a lot of consultation with MSPs. It's built like specifically with as I'll show you, a lot of flexibility to handle all sorts of situations. So there's 3 different types of rules that can be set up for automated emails. New invoice notification rules. So this is like when a new invoice is generated, BenjiPays can automatically send out a payment link to the customer. Account summary reminders. These are like statements that can be automatically sent on any day or days of the month. If you wanted to have a statement set out on the 1st or the 1st and the 15th, very easy to set up. And then we've got the invoice due reminders. So invoice due reminders can be set up for coming due or overdue invoices. Coming due would be like, reminder, your invoice is due in 3 days. Please make sure, and it's on auto pay, make sure there's money in your bank account or something like that. One really cool story about coming due reminders that I always think about is one of the MSPs that uses BenjiPays and was able to dramatically reduce their DSO. One way they've done that is by generating their invoices in the middle of so say they have January 1 invoices, they generate those on December 15th, even though they're not due until January 1st. And they send them out to the customer in advance saying, just here's your invoice. What's happened is a lot of customers will actually pay the invoice before it's due because they have a link for it. And that's really, really good for the business. They get the money, they can work with that money. They're going to provide the service anyway. So that's a really nice benefit. And having a setup like this where you can send out things in advance is really nice. So let's look at a sample overdue reminder rule here. So with each rule, you can set up multiple rule periods. A rule period means, in this case, if the invoice is unpaid 3 days after the due date, send a reminder. If it's still unpaid after 7 days, send another reminder. And we can add as many rule periods here as we like. Every single one of these rule periods can actually use a different email template. So as the invoice becomes farther overdue, we can have automatically escalating language. This is like Adam was talking about earlier. This is something that a lot of business owners either don't want to deal with or just don't, because it's easier just to let it go than to think, oh, I don't want to bug my client to pay me. But really, it's your business. You're not a bank. You deserve to get paid for the work you've done. And so these tools can help you without you having to think about it. Just set it up and it's all automated. So what's really nice about all these rules as well is that you can have different rules for different customers, or you can have a rule that applies to all customers or a subset or even a single customer. You probably all have a very special, one special customer who needs their own rule for messaging. You can set that up just for them. These rules can also be based on what are the payment terms of the invoice. Maybe we don't want to have this rule apply to cybersecurity invoices or whatever it might be. These can even be enabled or disabled based on if auto pay is on or off for this invoice. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And finally, when any of these notifications or reminders are sent out, you can set up CC or BCC email addresses. A lot of businesses want to be BCC'd when overdue reminders are going out to their customers so they can see what's happened. Can set that up here. So on that note of seeing what's happened with emails going out, one of the really cool features we also have in Benji Pays is, I'm just going to email an invoice here quickly to the customer so I can show you this. I've just emailed out an invoice, but if I click here, I can see we have email tracking. So I can see that I just manually sent this email to this customer. Here it is. This is the invoice coming. I'm going to click pay this in. This is the customer. I'm clicking pay this invoice, but no, I'm not going to pay it right now. Now, if I go back, this is, again, not the customer now. This is back to the merchant or the MSP. If I go and look at the details for that, I can see now that somebody opened it and clicked it. So this is really cool. We have all this click history to see who's done what with that email. You can tell if your customers opened it or not. So that's pretty cool. And just on that note, another cool thing that we do in Benji Pays is activity logs to log who's made changes to what and when. We also do when a customer adds their payment information to be automatically billed, we generate a pre-authorized debit agreement so that you can have that on file to just keep track of who's agreed to what. So one final thing I do want to also show is our customer portal. So Benji Pays, every Benji Pays account comes with a customer portal where your customers can self-serve. The URL can be white labeled to your domain, fully white labeled, and it's really easy to use. So the customer portal is passwordless, meaning when your customer goes to log in, they can use their email address and get a 6-digit code sent to them, or they can sign in with Google or Microsoft. And we actually even have single sign-on, which you can set up with almost any system. We have a fully fledged single sign-on system with Halo, PSA, and then lots of other systems as well that you can set up single sign-on. So they can even just use their existing account with your other system to log in. So I'll just sign in with Google because my email I'm using is through Google. And right when I log in, I'm seeing 4 different customers here. The reason being that the email address I've used to log in is associated with 4 customers. And this is really common that you might, your MSP might work with a business that has 4 locations and it's the same accounts payable person. So when the accounts payable person logs in, they can choose which location they wanted to manage. So here within the customer portal, there's a lot that the customer can do. They can update their payment methods to add or remove credit card or banking details. They can turn auto pay on or off if you allow them to for a payment method. Everything that I'm doing in here can be controlled from your end, whether you want your customers to be able to do certain things or not. They can pay invoices, they can pay partial invoices, they can schedule a payment for a later date through here. And very importantly, your customers will be able to see all their invoice history, all their open and paid invoices. And the paid invoices here, these don't have to have been paid, any of the invoices don't have to be paid through Benji Pays. This is everything that's connected with your customer in your accounting system. So when you start using Benji Pays, all your customers' historical data is going to be here right from day one. So everything is at their fingertips and easy to use. And again, just like auto processing and invoice rover and all the other features, the customer portal is designed to make it easier for you to get paid and use less of your time. Your customers are going to get better service because they're going to be able to access what they need when they need to, and it's just less work for everyone. So I think I've covered most of the main parts there. And yeah, if there's any questions, happy to answer, or I can pass this on.
I don't see any at the moment, Avery.
Cool.
All right.
So I'm gonna, Josh, I don't know if you want to just share the slides again if you have them handy. Perfect. Right where we leave it. So thanks, Avery. Yeah, so just really I'm going to quickly run through to make sure we covered off all the things here. So Benji Pays, obviously for quote to cash, we're going to enable you to automate that last part of the quote process, bring that payment into your payment processor, get the money into the bank, and make it really easy to get that information into the accounting system. Highly configurable. So a bit about Benji Pays, like our history. It'll give you a bit of an understanding of how we approach things. Avery and I are founders. I'm a software developer. Avery is an infrastructure guy. We've worked at or started MSPs in the past before they were called that. We've been in technology and in consulting and for longer than we would like to admit. I think many gray hairs ago. And so Benji Pays really came out of a problem that I had in a past business. And I was lucky enough to understand the problem personally, have a background in IT development and some accounting. And decided to write some code. And that's what we like to do is find real problems, find real solutions to them and solve them. That's what gets us out of bed every morning. And versus a lot of fintech companies where uh, uh, they're basically chasing pennies. So how do we build a platform or application to allow us to scrape pennies off of transactions? And so that's not what gets us excited. So and so we really saw there was a problem, like as mentioned before, for MSPs, like the PSA, the accounting system, the payment rails not talking to each other. And so what Benji Pays does is it automates your accounts receivable over the accounting system, the PSA, and your payment processor, and everything just flows once that happens. And our mission is pretty simple. Like we want to make getting cash in the bank for MSPs and the SMBs you serve as effortless as possible. And that's what gets us out of bed every day. And so we go through we spend a lot of time on the details. And so we know as technology folks that you want a lot of configuration and you want to be able to set things up to work for your business. So Benji Pays has, as Avery showed, Invoice Rover is an excellent example of the level of detail we go to make sure when you ask, yes, but can it do it this way? We can say yes. And so we're constantly adding new things around that. With Benji payments or new white label payment processing, you're going to get fully automated reconciliation back in, including your bank deposits. The fees will be reconciled, everything. So it really removes a lot of the overhead that's involved with accounts receivable. Okay. Yeah, and we've mentioned before, like automate that happy path, get money in the bank, and you really want to just like focus on what's wrong, right? So like Benji Pays is going to make it very clear on that dashboard that Avery showed you which of your payment profiles maybe are having a problem. The cards expired. We got a decline reason that said like do not retry, things like that. So you can go and deal with those things. So what we see, and a good example is that the business where we first started using Benji Pays, my past business, we took it from about 2 to 3 days of manual labor for someone processing payments and dealing with AR down to about 30 minutes. And we see that kind of meaningful change in businesses every day when they start using Benji Pays. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so we got many happy customers and raving fans. And this is just one example of that. This was a business that didn't have a cash flow problem. But when he talks about it now, he's like, we were okay, but now we're so much better by getting cash in the bank over a month earlier than we used to. We can invest in growth, right? And it's something they hadn't really thought about beforehand. So BenjiPay is going to connect to your accounting system. Currently, that's QuickBooks Online or desktop and Xero. We've got turnkey white labeled payment processing. That's going to give you all that automation. We take care of your support or your main contact from the time that you are getting started and going through your account application all the way to post transaction support. So it's really easy to deal with just us. All our support folks are in house, as is the rest of the team. All our developers, everybody's in our office. You're going to get all the features that Avery mentioned there as well. And then we connect to lots of PSAs, quoting platforms like QuoteWerks.
Yeah, and before we go, I just wanted to talk about really what the process looks like after you've requested your payments. Within QuoteWerks, we help with the fulfillment of things as well. So being able to submit POs to vendors, electronically order from your distributors, order tracking and fulfillment, and exporting your transactions to QuickBooks as well. So just wanted to round it off to show you that not only are we able to help with the QTC process, but to take you over the finish line and help with fulfillment as well. Gentlemen, this has been a great session, a lot of really good information. We do have some time here for questions. I don't see any that have been, actually, looks like we might have some coming in. But we'll give it a moment here, see if we have any questions. Avery or Adam, is there anything else that you wanted to add to the conversation here while we're waiting?
No, someone's asking if there's a recording. Yeah, we'll have a recording. We'll get that out to the attendees.
And then are customers able to request reports from within the client portal? So from within the client portal, they can see all of their details. Reports, I'm wondering, there's not they can see all their transaction history and their invoicing. You can set up through Invoice Rover the account summary to be sent out automatically to clients. I'm not, so that's the way that would work now. There's no other reports that are available at this time through the client portal. One thing you can do also through the client portal though is add your own link if you want to link the customer back to another place or your website or another tool. You can do that right through there as well.
Yeah, and we also have feedback.benjipays.com on the BenjiPay side, so you can go there. That's where we drive a lot of our new feature ideas from. So you can go there and see all the things. You can vote on other people's ideas, add your own. So if there's something specific that you're looking for that we don't do, it's a great place to start. That's a great question. Tips on educating clients to be more comfortable using BenjiPays. I mean, Avery and I see this many times. Like, part of it is our own, like, as a business owner, you need to be confident and clear in how you're going to get paid. And sometimes that's hard for us to do. We're worried people are going to be upset. They're going to leave us because we've changed something like that. That is not the experience that we see. Right? Occasionally you get folks that push back. Well, you can, work on that one customer, but most folks are just like, oh, this is how we get paid. And the perfect time to make those changes is when you're adding a new platform like BenjiPays, because you need to let them know about it anyways. So at the same time, you could say, and here's how you're going to add your payment info. And you're we're going to be processing your payments automatically. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, Haley. But I think that's a big part of it, is just like confidence and clear on how you want to get paid, and just like not being afraid to say this is what we need to be a successful business and make sure that we're doing well so that we can continue to provide you the service that you currently enjoy at the level that you need it, right? And they would do the same thing in their business, right? It kind of flows down.
And just building on that, it's largely about messaging. Like when you're onboarding your clients, which our onboarding helps you onboard your clients, but the messaging is really built about making it easier for your customers as well. Like, they're going to have a customer portal now where they can access whatever they need whenever they need to. Auto payments are good. Like, I don't know about you, but if I have a bill I know I'm paying every month, I don't want to pay it. I want it to happen when it's due. I don't like it's just another thing. We're all busy. If we know that something's going to happen, it's actually nicer if it's automated for both sides. So there's a lot of yeah, just messaging and like Adam was mentioning, it's a way to help you run your business better, and that's something that your clients would generally understand. Awesome.
Yeah, Haley, if there's anything specific that you need help with, just reach out to our support team, and one of the AR specialists there might have some ideas to be able to help you out.
Great. Well, gentlemen, it doesn't look like there's any more questions, but what I'd love to do is welcome anyone on the call that's not familiar with Benji Pays or QuoteWerks to go ahead and visit these links here, request a demo, get yourself familiarized with the platforms. As you can see, there's a lot of benefit that both platforms brings to the table, and we'd love for you to be a part of our ecosystem. So with that, I think it's time for us to go, and appreciate Avery your time, Adam your time as well, and everyone on the call is here as well. So hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Josh. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a good one.
You too.